This 6-year-old CPU cost $119 US brand new, but now you can find them on average for about $38 US. In this video, I'm going to show you how well this CPU performs, a recreatable budget gaming PC with this CPU, and why you probably shouldn't buy it. This is the Core i3-8100, a 4-core 4-thread processor which may or may not be worth your $38. I picked this one up in a previous video used, and its cheap price tag made me wonder if you could put together a budget gaming PC with it. And in this video, we're going to test that. For our performance test, I'm going to go put our CPU into our Z370 motherboard. Put in 16 gigabytes of RAM. A GTX 1060, our trusty SATA SSD, add some thermal paste, so we can throw on our stock cooler because this does not need anything better. We'll go ahead and load a few games of Fortnite with this setup and see how we go. Okay, so here we are loaded into Fortnite. We have just allowed for the default settings to come on. So see our CPU up over here. We also have DX11 automatically applied, VSync off, frame rate unlimited, and we have auto set graphics at the moment. So quality high. So let's just jump into a game and let's see what we come up with. Okay, so we are loading into the game. I don't know if it's just trying to render everything in because our FPS is very shaky and very stuttery right now. So yeah, look at this. It's very hard to see what's going on right now. There's something going on over here. Fuck, I can't even... There we go. Yeah, so this CPU is not doing too well so far. Let's just try to drop the settings to low. So we'll apply our low settings now. Coming in on low settings again, we're actually looking at something a bit more smooth. That must have been a bot. What was that? Anyway, but look at this. Now we are averaging about 60 frames on low settings. Much better than before. For a quick comparison, I'm going to show you an i7-7700K, a CPU that's a generation older but the i7 variant, and show you the comparison in performance in a very similar system to the i3-8100. As you can see, it's over here. We're running a GTX 1060 as well in this system. It looks like we're averaging about 100 frames per second over here, which is quite the improvement from before. Bruh, 150 FPS. We can conclude that the i3 averaged about 20 FPS on high settings and 50 on low. These aren't the best results considering we used DX11 and a 7th generation i7 was able to average about 120 on these same low settings. Let me show you some live deals right now that we can put together a budget gaming PC with the i3-8100. So for our CPU, you know we've got the i3-8100. We're going to be looking at a price range of 57 Aussie dollars, which is the same as 38, just for reference. So we've got a few options around here that should be able to get us at around that price point. Hopefully you can find yourself a bit something under, and there's only a few options before the prices just get really unrealistic. Next, for our motherboard, we're just going to get the cheapest series possible, the H series, a H310 motherboard. I actually did find there were some unbranded motherboards which you could get for something really cheap around the $47 mark. However, I would really suggest looking around, at least get something branded. Let me just have a look. So 128, that should be about $85. You can pick up an actual, like an Asus motherboard here. And if you just look hard enough, maybe you can get a better deal, but roughly around that price is going to be what you're looking to aim for. For our GPU, there's a few options. Maybe you can go AMD or NVIDIA depending on the price points. I'm looking at the RX 570 for $120. That comes into about $80 US. You can always get something like a GTX 1060 as well, which will perform better. However, sometimes they are a bit hard to find at a good price. Let's have a look here. These are all bids. So 115, so it's, and you got to pay shipping as well. Two good deals, and then they get a bit more expensive beyond that. So it really depends on what you can find at the time. But I would try aim for $85 US for a graphics card. For our RAM, we've gone with a 16GB DDR4 kit of Patriot RAM. Relatively cheap for what it is, about $42 US in translation. For our power supply, we've gone with the Silverstone SST series, a 400 watt. I don't think we are demanding too many watts out of this system. It's an i3 and a GTX 1060, whatever we can find. It's 80 plus, it's not bronze, it's not gold or anything like that. However, it is cheap. Coming in at about $41 US, this power supply will get us over the line. I've just gone with a SATA SSD here, and we're coming in at around $29 US for a 240GB SSD. This will be good to store a few games and just play them. Next, with our case, it's very hard to find a very cheap case online. So I would highly recommend going used, looking on a Facebook marketplace for this one, because there are cases around this price. So around the $15 US mark, you can find cases, maybe something a bit better than this, and you'll save money on shipping as well, because the shipping's quite expensive. It's more than the case. Yes, so I would recommend hunting around to find your own case. There's lots of stuff available. Like, I'm just searching up case right now. Everyone's situation will be unique, so I understand that. This looks like a very good deal actually. $15 for this. Got a case over here, $20. This is all Aussie dollars as well. Like, you can find very cheap cases here. And the reason I go for a case where you don't really care about looks, it's mainly because it's budget. You just want to get the cheapest possible parts together just to be able to run your system. So, is the i3 8100 still usable today? I'm going to say no, it's not usable, and for one reason. You have to spend a lot of money building a whole system around this one CPU. Instead, you've spent all this money. I would recommend, instead of spending your $38 on an i3, I would recommend looking at an i5 or an i7, because all the other parts are staying the same. You're only changing one variable, which is the CPU. If you save up a little bit more, you'll get better performance with an i7. I tested a generation older i7 and it beat this. So why don't you use a generation newer i7 and put it in the motherboard which it's compatible with, and then you'll reap the rewards of your performance. This is the lowest end CPU. It's turning 7 years old this year. I'm not going to recommend it, and while it was fun to work with, I'm probably not going to use it again. I might sell it or just store it. So that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching.